Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fantasy Books and Games comic book preview stream. I'm Aaron. This is my buddy Sam,
What's up?
and we're going to talk about some comics that come out tomorrow. One of them that actually technically released like an hour and a half ago. We'll talk about that, but there are so many books coming out tomorrow. I cannot remember the last time there was this big of a like release all in for like 1 week.
That's a big stack.
Yeah, I got a big stack of books. I'm not going to be able to talk about all of them. I don't think. But it's funny because like I feel like we're at the end of March now, so we're like gearing into full on spring and summer, and that's when obviously the most amount of stuff happens. But I feel like for the last couple of months we've been constantly saying like, oh, there's not a lot of stuff going on this week, or it's kind of a slow week. This week makes up for all of it. Like it's all coming out this week.
Yes.
So let's just jump right into it because like I said, we're gonna try and squeeze this into our normal time. But I know you've done this with me a few times now, Sam. So I like to always start with facsimile reprints.
Yes, I do.
And there are two choice facsimile reprints coming out tomorrow. The first one I want to highlight is I'm so happy that DC is doing reprints of these Treasury Edition books. Not just Batman, but they've been doing a lot of the Batman ones. And this is, if I can even get this onto the camera here, this is Batman's Strangest Cases. And just a lot of classic, this is 1970s era Batman, most of it, I believe. A lot of great art by like Neil Adams and Bernie Wrightson. Yeah, like Swamp Thing. It's
Yeah.
get that on camera there. Yeah, look at that. That is cool. So yeah, very, very, very happy that DC is continuing to do these. I have said a million times that DC's the quality of their reprints is just through the roof. Like these are really, really, really good. So very happy for that, of course. Also, another facsimile reprint that is coming out tomorrow is Marvel Fanfare number 15. This is, if you don't know what this series is, this was an anthology series from, I want to say it was in the mid to late 80s. I should have fact checked that, but I didn't. And this was kind of the brainchild of Marvel editor Al Milgrom, I believe. And each issue was a different creative team just telling a story about random Marvel characters, whatever they wanted to do. This is I think it's a particularly great issue. It's just a standalone thing story, kind of a slice of life, day in the life of Ben Grimm. But it is written and drawn by Barry Windsor Smith, who is one of my personal favorite comic book artists. I like this. Like he has to like shave these like tiny rocks that are growing on his face. Yeah, just really, really, really good stuff. Classic Fantastic Four, classic Barry Windsor Smith. You really, it's like a 30-something-year-old comic book, and we have a stack of like 30 new issues coming out tomorrow. Really good stuff. I'm still tempted to say this is one of the best things on the stand.
Oh,
But I mean, I also skew toward the older stuff. But if you like Barry Windsor Smith and you haven't read this issue, definitely check it out. Marvel Fanfare number 15. Okay. I've got one other book. I guess I don't even know where to go from here. We're gonna go with I think a lot of people are expecting Batman Hush, the Hush 2. How are we? What are we calling that? Is it like Hush?
Hatash.
Because like the stylized the symbol. I mean, I guess I'll just get the comic. Uh, is
Because the
It's got
two.
the two like in the U, which is a clever little thing that they do. As you can see, that's what I'm talking about there. It's Hush 2, Batman 158, which technically released today at exactly 6:08 p.m. because, as all good Batman fans know, the original Hush storyline started in Batman issue number 608. So yeah, we are selling Batman. This is available. You can walk in right now, live on stream, and buy this issue.
Mm-hmm.
But what's cool about this comic is that, of course, they have a lot of variant covers like they do for everything, but they also have this gigantic variant. This one's not. It's even bigger than the Treasury. This is definitely not going to fit on the camera. But this is the whole issue printed at the, I guess it's the original art size. This is like an 11 by 17. So this is like those giant art books, like artist editions.
Hmm.
So the whole issue, like I'm gonna try to see, like, yeah, you can get like half of it on there. And the big deal about Hush is, of course, that Jim Lee is coming back. And I as an old '90s X-Men reader, I do have a soft spot for Jim Lee. It's kind of weird to me now that he's almost more associated with Batman than the X-Men. Because now that he's been at DC longer than he I think he's been at DC longer than he was at Marvel and Image combined
Oh
now
my
at this
god.
point. Like, it's, I'll bet,
Yeah.
But one cool thing about this I wanted to say, I'm not admittedly that interested in a Hush sequel. Like, I like Jim Lee's art a lot, but I don't even remember the first Hush story arc. I know I read it when it came out, and I'm pretty sure I gave the issues away to a friend. But what's cool about I am a big fan of oversized comics, as we established with the Treasury editions. And what's cool about this is it reprints the issue as it originally is, and the issue has this beautiful. I don't even want to put it on the downward camera because it's not going to pick up. But the issue has a preview of Absolute Martian Manhunter, which also comes out tomorrow, and we're going to talk about it. But I really like that if you buy the oversized Hush comic, you get this giant, beautiful. I think it's Javier Rodriguez art that's in the preview in the back of the book. So you know what? I mean, obviously you're going to buy this for the Jim Lee art, but it is pretty cool that you get like 4 pages of the Absolute Martian Manhunter in here, and it's really cool seeing it at that oversized format. I'm such a sucker for that. But yeah, also Batman Hush 2, kind of a big deal. I think a lot of people are
Yeah,
excited for it. Did you read the original Hush?
I did. Like you, I couldn't tell you what happened, but
I mean,
the
it
art was
was
good.
it was like 25, 20 years ago,
Yeah, yeah.
so
It's been a
it's
while
been a
since I've
while.
read it.
Yeah, but yeah, the art is good because
Yeah.
it's Jim Lee. Okay, wow, I still got this giant stack here. I'm gonna quickly rattle off just a few books that are in my regular poll that are coming out tomorrow that I just want to recommend. Just This is just a blanket recommendation because I just really like them. GI Joe. I don't even have to say anything at this point. I love GI Joe. This is issue 315. I'm just so happy that Larry Hama is still writing GI Joe and carrying on 40 years of GI Joe stories. Like, that's wild to me that he's still doing that. Dust to Dust by J.G. Jones and Phil Bram. I've talked about the previous 3 issues that they've come out. I'm just going to show this briefly because I'm a really huge fan of J.G. Jones's artwork, and this
Yeah.
is highly detailed. These like really full pages, and it takes place during the Dust Bowl Depression era Oklahoma. So that's why it's all like tan and sepia tone, as you can see. And it's basically like a murder mystery. There's like a little scandal going on in this small town, but really really good. Highly recommend it. Also in my regular pool, Metamorpho number 4. This comes out tomorrow. I've talked about all 3 issues of this that have come out previously, and this is one of my favorite comics coming out right now. I love the. Have you read? Did we talk about Metamorpho at all,
I
Sam?
read the first
You
one.
read the
I don't
first
think we got
issue.
a chance to talk about it though.
I just love that it's this beautiful pastiche of the Silver Age superhero comics. Uh, just a lot of fun, and also there's a lot of deep dives into Metamorpho, like classic continuity, which admittedly I'm not super familiar with. I know that it exists, but I've not actually read a lot of Metamorpho comics. But this book is by Al Ewing and Steve Lieber, and it is actually one of my favorite books coming out right now. I absolutely love it. Also, one of my favorite books. Man, it's so much stuff. It just keeps going. Superman. This regular Superman series by Josh Williamson and the artist I believe on this one I believe is Jason Barrows. Oh no, Eddie Barrows. Sorry, but and Eber Ferreria. Anyway, this is a cool comic. I just like feels like classic Superman to me. If I've said it before, but if you were reading, I want to highlight this. that one of the mission statements that Joshua Williams said when he did it, he's wanted to recapture the feeling of the Triangle era, which was the early to late '90s. And I like that they're just straight up doing that here, like the triangle with the number and the year, which is what they did back then. Because like there was like 5 monthly Superman books, and so it came out weekly. There was a new Superman book every week between Superman Action Comics, Superman Man of Steel, Adventures of Superman. You know, it was a constant barrage of comics.
That's a lot.
And so they would have a number for the year, like the year 1994. Here's the first issue of the year, and all going through the like 52 weeks. You know, each issue, if it was, you know, it'd be like Action Comics 577, but then it would be 1994 12, you know, just like the seventh or the 12th Superman book of that year. And so I definitely think that Williamson is doing a good job of capturing the spirit of that era. And, you know, that was my kind of era of Superman. So I'm digging on it. Also coming out, I'm going to let you talk soon, Sam, I swear. Rogue Savage Land. I know I've talked about this one as it's been coming out. I just want to highlight this cover by Kara Andrews. Just really, really, really great stuff.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, so it's like they just lean into the cheesecakiness of the whole thing. Like, obviously, the selling point of Jungle Savage Land Rogue is that she's in like basically a bikini that's tattered of her old costume, but they're having a lot of fun with it because like Magneto's in the same thing. Like he's got his costumes all ripped up to show his abs, and you have Kazar who's just a jungle man, and it's a fun it's a fun comic, a lot more fun than it has any right to be. But also, you know, Rogue, dinosaurs. That's pretty much all I need in a comic book. Like 13-year-old me would be all over this comic. But also, I do want to highlight it's written by Tim Seeley, who is a writer who is just like he's got to be one of the most hardworking man in comics right now. That guy is he's writing a million comics a month, it seems. But he's really good, and he writes a lot of stuff that I like. So yeah, Rogue Savage Land. You know what? It's like I said, it's a lot better than it has any right to be. Also coming out tomorrow, I haven't even had a chance to flip through this, but I am a big fan of the first issue of Weapon X Men, and this is by Joe Casey, who is a writer that I really like. Artist is Chris Cross, who's a veteran who's done a lot of good stuff in the past. And this is, I feel like this comic exists because of the success of Deadpool Wolverine, the movie, which we will probably talk about when we talk about some of the other books that come out this week. Because this is not even like I think right now there's like 4 or 5 Deadpool Wolverine comics out right now.
I was about to say, there's a lot of
There's
books that owe their
yeah, their current
publishing
publishing is like to that success of that movie. But this one doesn't have just Deadpool Wolverine. It also has Cable and Thunderbird and or Warpath. I actually forget which one. I always get those two mixed up.
I think it's Thunderbird.
I think it's Thunderbird because it's the
Yeah.
original Thunderbird because they brought him back
Right.
because he'd been dead for like 40 years, and then they were like, why not just bring him back? I mean, that was part of the whole thing with Krakoa is that they just bring everybody back. But you know, that's really a different discussion. But yeah, Weapon X Men, really really cool. I think what I said about I haven't had it like I said I haven't even flipped through this issue, but what I liked about the first issue is it felt like it was Joe Casey was kind of going out of his way to give Deadpool a little bit of his edge back, like he's not just wacky funny guy, like he's you know kind of a villain,
Yeah.
you know, or at
And
least
a killer.
and a killer, yeah, exactly. Like I know it's right now it's really fun to be like I'm a wacky, silly, fun killer, crazy person. There's a lot of characters that are leaning into that right now. But I think it's important to kind of, when you're in a superhero world, like somebody who's actually a killer needs to have a little bit of edge to them. They can't just be all like silly and wacky all the time.
Yeah, there's a little darkness there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I appreciate it. Also, talking about a little bit of darkness with killers, Wolverine Revenge. This is the final issue. I don't even want to flip through it because I don't want to spoil anything. But I have been enjoying this series. This is Jonathan Hickman and Greg Capullo, and it's a really simple story of just Wolverine killing people, and it's really good. It looks cool. You know, Greg Capullo's awesome. I think Hickman doesn't overwrite it, which
No.
I feel like is whenever I have a problem with a Hickman comic, it's because I feel like it's overwritten, and so I'm really glad that if anything, this book is underwritten which is I feel how it should be. Like if it's just an out of continuity story about Wolverine getting his final revenge on all of his villains, you really that's all there it needs to be to it. It doesn't need to be anything else. So yeah, final issue, pretty cool. Really happy that it exists. Okay, that I think is it for everything that's in my regular pull, and that only took me like 25 minutes. That's crazy. All right, Sam. I'm my throat's going sore here.
Here, I'll
I'm
help you
losing my
out.
voice. Yeah. What do you got?
So
What do
for
you?
reading, I have X Manhunt Omega.
Okay.
It's coming out tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
This is the conclusion to the 7-part Manhunt series for Professor Xavier.
Mm-hmm. This is part of the crossover
Yes.
that they just did. Yes.
If-
Okay. I have not read a single issue of that crossover.
It's been good.
Have you followed it
Yeah,
all?
I've
Okay.
liked it.
Okay. So this is the finale to it.
Yes.
All right. What did you think?
I thought it was a good ending. I thought it's kind of a trying to think how much I should say without giving away.
Yeah, you
too
don't have to
much.
spoil anything.
Yeah, it's kind of a good sign off to, I guess, the relationship between Cyclops and Professor Xavier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
I mean, that's always been like a big thing with the X-Men.
well,
Like,
lately.
yeah, especially lately, it's like, yeah, all they've leaned into it. And this run has definitely been all about that because like Cyclops set up the X-Men and he's kind of like, we're doing our own thing now. We're
Right.
not, we're getting away from Xavier. So yeah, so you like this?
I did. I liked it.
Good. All right. Let's. I know you read a few other X-Men books. I'm just gonna set that over there. What else? What other X-Men book came out?
I also read The Uncanny X-Men
Okay.
by Gail Simone, issue number 12. It was really good. It was a very Gambit heavy issue with a lot of backstory that I didn't know about.
I do like Gambit. Let's
Yeah.
put him. Let's put it down. That's a cool cover here. I like this. With Gambit
The
reflecting.
mirror image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does this take place before or after the Manhunt?
I think it's after the Manhunt. The flashbacks, obviously not.
right.
Yeah, it takes place after the Manhunt, but also like early on, there's these moments where I can't. What's her name? Is it Jitter?
I haven't been following Uncanny X-Men, so I would not be able to tell you.
It's probably at the front. Well, anyway, in the last issue, they pushed her a little too hard in their danger room scenario.
Yeah, it's
And
Jitter.
so
You're
Rogue
right.
is starting to feel bad about basically having to take over the leader of her sect of the X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
She's having some difficulty with that. But of course, Gambit's there to support her.
Yeah. Like, I think so. I haven't really been following Uncanny X-Men, but I think the biggest strength that the series had, I think I read like the first 3 or 4 issues.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really interested in the ongoing plots, but I thought Gail Simone really understood the voices of the characters.
Yes.
Like, it just feels like the classic characters in the book. So
Cool. And like those characters within the roles that they're being forced into. Like
Yeah.
Rogue feels like a really interesting leader for the X-Men because
Mhm.
she's not Cyclops. She's not Scott. She
Right,
wasn't, like,
right.
this. Well, I guess they all were child soldiers.
yeah. They all played that role at some point.
Right. But her relationship to that is a little different. And
Mhm.
so like in the previous issue, having her like, well, it already came out, so I guess we can talk about
Yeah,
it.
you can talk about
Like,
the previous issue.
yeah, the 4 new recruits of the X-Men are training in this kind of makeshift danger room, and they're having a little fun with it. It's just like a scenario, and Rogue is just like, take one of them out. He tells that to Gambit because these people need to know that it's
serious.
life or death.
Yeah. And is that what led into this
Yes.
this scene here? Okay.
That's
okay.
why she's training.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's cool. That sounds good.
Yeah.
So you've been enjoying the Uncanny X-Men series?
I've been liking all the X-Men books for the most part.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I have. I know you got one more book here, or actually a couple. But while we're on the subject of X-Men, you're talking about all this new X-Men stuff. We're gonna go right into Volume 2 of the X-Men manga comes out tomorrow. and I've never read the whole thing. I had a few issues from back in the day, and what I like about this comic series, if you haven't read Volume One, you might not realize that it's just a straight adaptation of the '90s X-Men cartoon, but as a manga. So every issue is just following like an episode. So like one of the first issues here, I think I talked about this a little bit in volume one, but it's the Colossus and the Juggernaut issue, which let me get this back properly. So the artist that does this issue, first of all, it's different artists that do different issues, and the one that
Okay.
does this issue with the Juggernaut is pretty funny. It definitely leans into the comedy, and one of the things that he does that cracked me up was that he shows whenever Rogue uses her powers to zap someone, like you can see there, she zaps the prison guard because they're trying to get into rescue Colossus, I guess, and she zaps the prison guard, and then you can see that she's like drawn as like physically bigger, like she like gets physically more muscles in her, and so that all leads to a very very hilarious panel which, if you recall the episode, they fight Juggernaut, and she tries to zap Juggernaut's powers in order to incapacitate him. And going with that, she gets physically bigger whenever she steals strength. So she zaps. They got Juggernaut's helmet off here, and then as you can see, she zaps him, and bam, she's huge. And this panel just cracks me up so much. She's gigantic, and like you see Juggernaut's head, his little face there going so that is so funny. So yes, highly recommend X-Men the manga volume 2. This is funny stuff. But also it's, if you like the X-Men, like if you've been, honestly, this is kind of a fun way if you enjoy the X-Men 97 series but you don't want to go back and watch the original X-Men cartoon, which was mostly good except for some not great animation and also some odd, weird episodes. You can just read the X-Men manga, and it's sort of like a better version of the animated series. And then that'll get you caught up for X-Men '97. So boom, there you go. All right. Let's talk about this other X-Men related book since we're just on the subject of X-Men.
Yeah.
You This also comes out tomorrow, right?
Yes.
You read this?
Ultimate Wolverine #3.
All right. So you read the previous two issues, of course, right?
Yes.
So how are you feeling about Ultimate Wolverine?
A little better now after
Okay.
reading this issue. The first two were good, but it was a lot of just kind of like,
I felt like the first issue moved too slowly.
Yes, and the second definitely, like, they said Wolverine in the situation where he's got to kill a bunch of people, and he does.
Right.
And then that's it.
And that's it. Yeah, exactly. It's like, I already know Wolverine kills people. Like, we need to get on with the plot a little bit.
Right. This establishes another Gambit heavy book.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and
nice.
then just because you're on the page, and then there's a couple other appearances of like big Marvel names, one other X-Men name, and then others.
You should warn me. I don't want to spoil anything.
Well, you might.
We just don't have to reference it. We
there
just
you
don't
go.
have to talk about
it.
Yeah.
But now we're.
Yeah, like I said, it's like classic Gambit look here. Does he have an eye patch?
He has an eye patch.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, Gambit with an eye patch, that just makes sense.
Right. He's roguish.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing that this issue really kind of like brought up for me was a bunch of questions as to like what is the status quo for mutants in the Ultimate Universe as it currently stands.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of books that go into that.
Because I felt like I stopped reading the Ultimate X-Men book because I kind of felt like it was not an X-Men book, and it also wasn't really related to the Ultimate Universe. Like, it felt really just kind of its own thing, which I don't hate in principle. Like, I'm totally fine with books that are their own thing, but it just sort of seemed to defeat the purpose of its own existence. Like, if it's the new Ultimate X-Men, I feel like it would be a part of like the new Ultimate Universe, and it felt like it wasn't. So yeah, I get what you're saying with like not feeling like what are mutants in this new Ultimate Universe setting.
Right.
So like Ultimate Wolverine's kind of leaning into that a little bit.
It's starting to answer those questions. It definitely like doesn't provide any full on answers. They have like one panel without spoiling anything. It's kind of like a flashback of Wolverine, like being in his full capacities, not
Okay.
this current Winter Soldier Wolverine.
Okay.
And he's
Okay.
like slashing a Sentinel, and then it's like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah. Like, where's this?
Where are Sentinels in
Yeah.
this world? How does that all,
Okay.
figure out?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, but
So
I like
yeah,
this issue.
I know because there's a lot of hype around it, and I just like the first issue didn't really wow me, and so I haven't followed it, but
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that it's kind of like picking up. Also coming out tomorrow, I got several stuff. We're not gonna spend too much time on it, but there's a few things I want to just highlight. Money Shot Big Bang comes out tomorrow. I'm not even gonna flip through this comic. Sam, you know what Money Shot is?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a we'll just like get the cover down on camera here. It's a sexy comedy book. As you can tell from the cover, I think the premise is funny. The idea is that they're space explorers, but in order to fund their exploration of space, they have to create essentially like a cam show account,
Oh my god.
and so they just fly through space and they film themselves interacting with aliens and themselves and then people pay them money to watch the live stream, and that's how they fund their expedition to explore space.
That's the only way.
That's the only way. And you know what, there is a lot of we talked about, I think it was last year or maybe 2 years ago, the last Money Shot series came out, and I did kind of talk about that series as it was coming out, and there's a lot of there's a lot of satire of like current business and politics and stuff like that. So there's definitely like there's an Amazon equivalent in this world that just like owns everything, and so there's and just it's silly and it's pretty stupid, honestly, but you know what, it makes me laugh. This specifically is a one shot that is designed as a primer to catch you up for the new series that's going to be starting soon. So this is actually, I don't know if there's anything new in this or if it's just like it reprints a few pages from the first series with like an explanation of what happened, a few pages from the and it just sort of like catches you up on like, here's our story so far, so you can just jump into the new series.
Huh.
But you know what, it made me laugh more than once, so it's got that going for it. Also coming out tomorrow, comic that I think I talked about the first two issues. Actually, I don't remember if I talked about issue 2 when it came out. But The Seasons, number 3 comes out tomorrow. This is by Rick Remender and Paul Azaceta. Sam, have you read any of these issues of The
I
Seasons?
have not.
Have we talked about it at all?
I don't think so.
So I enjoy this series a lot. It's sort of like, I would describe it as like a Studio Ghibli movie that's kind of a horror film.
Oh.
So it's got like kind of the Ghibli-esque uh, charm with the main characters, but there's like this like dark kind of undertone, which some Ghibli stuff does have a little bit of a dark undertone to it. Um, Specifically, like Hayao Miyazaki's latest film, the Boy and the Heron.
Was that good?
Like I mean, small review of the Boy and the Heron. I really liked it, but I think it does kind of suffer from a lot of Miyazaki's later era stuff where the pacing is all over the place. It's a wonderful film to just sit down and just soak in, but it's also the kind of film where like you're kind of looking at your watch and you're like, where are we at in the story here? And then you're like, we got like 2 hours left still. Like, what is going on? But if you don't like kind of pay attention to the pacing and you just sit there and just absorb it, I hate saying this, like if you just don't think about it, shut your brain off kind of a thing, it's beautiful. Like the animation is great, and I think the story is good, and it does come together in a more complete way than I expected. But it is long.
Yeah.
But I think it's a better final film than The Wind Rises, which I also really liked, but I had issues with. But anyway, we're not talking about Studio Ghibli films. We're talking about The Seasons. So the main character is this girl here, Spring Season. She's part of a family, and all like 4 sisters, and they're all named after uh, uh, the seasons. Their last name is Season, and then so she's like Spring Season, there's Summer Season, Winter Season, and there's this weird. I mean, you can kind of see it on the cover here. There's this like odd circus that like moves into town, and then something odd happens and people disappear. And so there's a big mystery of like who these any of these characters even are. You're seeing the whole thing unfold just from her perspective, spring season, and she's kind of the perfect, like, she's young, she's cheerful, she's cute and friendly, and like her sisters, they all kind of represent the season that they're named after
Right.
in different ways. And she knows everybody in town. People are rude to her. Her job is like a mail delivery person. This just makes me think of like Kiki's Delivery Service, like
Right.
with the old timey, like the hat and the blazer, and she rides a bike and just delivers letters to people and gets into shenanigans. And she has a pet goldfish that she carries with her that she talks to, but the goldfish never talks, but you get the impression that it is communicating with her.
Huh. Very
And yeah,
Miyazaki.
it's very Miyazaki.
Yeah.
But then there's, like I said, there's kind of this dark undertone of like there's the mystery of her family, and her parents are all gone. They're both gone or missing, and they're both like they were getting into some kind of magical stuff. And I mean, like, I'm kind of just spoiling the end of the issue here, but I just want to like show like she kind of gets into a fight with this guy who transforms into this weird magical clown. And yeah, it's very, like I said, very very Ghibli-esque, but in all the right ways. Like, it doesn't feel like somebody trying to do Studio Ghibli. And maybe part of that is also just the art of Paul Azaceta, who I'm a big big fan of his art. It's really colorful and stylized, but it doesn't look like anime. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
have that like I learned to draw from tracing Dragon Ball, or Kiki's Delivery Service or something like that. Like, he's a really really good artist. So I highly highly recommend the seasons. All right, I think. Oh man, we got a lot to go through still.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm going to briefly mention three books here that I don't have a lot to say about, but I just want to mention that tomorrow, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Naruto #3 comes out. I have not been following this series, but I know a lot of people are excited about it, so I just wanted to make a mention of it. If you've been waiting on this comic, here it is. It'll be here tomorrow. Also coming out tomorrow is a new #1 issue. I haven't had a chance to read it, but it's called "We're Taking Everyone Down with Us." Image has been. I've seen a lot of ads for this book, both in Image and on social media. And like I said, I haven't really had a chance to read it, but I flipped through it a little bit. I like this cool cover. It's like a spy thriller story with robots, and that's really enough to sell me.
Yeah.
It's written by Matthew Rosenberg, art by Stefano Landini, and I think it looks cool. Like I said, spies, robots. It's a kind of like a sexy thriller. There's some stuff going on in the back of the book that I'm not going to show on stream, but looks really cool. I can't wait to read it. Also coming out tomorrow, I want to briefly mention The Mummy #1. I have been enjoying all of the Skybound Universal Monsters books. There was Dracula and Frankenstein and The Creature from the Black Lagoon, and now we have The Mummy. And I like that each series has had a different kind of strong and but unique and different creative team, and they're all just been good interpretations of the characters. This one is by Faith Erin Hicks, who is kind of a, I don't know what I would maybe call her an alternative cartoonist. Like, I don't think she's doing work at like Marvel or DC, but she's got a lot of her own books that she's written and drawn, and she's a strong creator. And she's an interesting choice to do The Mummy, and it looks really good. Like I said, I haven't read this issue yet. I
Oh,
flipped
that's
through
good.
it, and it looks great. I like the classic, like her figures look really good, and they got like a classic vintage feel to them. Yes, this looks good. I'm really excited to read it. I'll probably talk about it in more depth when issue 2 comes out, because I'll have read this issue by then, and I can speak a little more confidently about it. Okay, those are the three. Oh wait, no. There's one more. I haven't had a chance to even really flip through this, but as we were talking about, there's so much Deadpool Wolverine stuff. There's another Deadpool Wolverine comic on the stands, not to be confused with Deadpool versus Wolverine, a completely separate series. This is just a standalone comic, which is like This is like literally the fourth Deadpool Wolverine issue slash series, like separate series in the last 12 months, I think. And that's not including the Weapon X-Men book that we talked about, or the Wolverine Revenge book that we talked about today, which also has Wolverine fighting Dead. Not that issue, not issue 5, but in issue 1 or 2 of it, he goes after Deadpool, and it's just like, man, if you really loved Deadpool and you really loved Wolverine, like a certain somebody did back in 19, whenever those characters were popular, now is the time. Like, I feel like there's more Deadpool Wolverine stuff going on right now than there was in 1998, like when I don't know. But anyway, this is written by Christos Gage, who is a writer that I really like. Art by Alan Robinson, who I'm not familiar with, but I feel like he's done some good stuff in the past. But you know what? I'm just flipping through it here. It's got Deadpool, it's got Wolverine, it's pretty much everything you want. I get the feeling that this is supposed to be more of a humor book than the other ones we've talked about. That does have a little just in time for April Fool's Day on it. There is a different Deadpool related book that comes out tomorrow that I didn't even bother grabbing to talk about on the stream. But it also is like a preview for an April Fool's Day. So I guess they're doing a lot of Deadpool related stuff for April Fools because, why not? He's wacky, funny, breaks the fourth wall guy who also kills people.
Are you talking about Pool Illuminati?
Pool Illuminati. That was
Yeah.
it. Yeah, yeah. And they did like a pet pool book like last month or
Yes.
something. I don't know. I can't like look, I like Deadpool, but I just like cannot keep up with everything they do with the character. It's
No,
outrageous.
it's a lot.
Okay. I got a few other books here that I've actually mostly read. Actually, one more that I didn't read, but I do want to highlight: Godzilla versus Fantastic Four. This is by Ryan North and John Romita Jr. I think it's cool that Marvel is doing. They got the Godzilla license back, and like last year, it's funny because like DC did the Godzilla versus Justice League last year, and it was kind of a big deal. And now Marvel got it, and they're just like, all right, now it's Godzilla versus all of our characters. So yeah, the first one here is Godzilla Fantastic Four. Like I said, I didn't read through it, but you know what? I like Fantastic Four. I like Godzilla. It's pretty much all you need. It's written by Ryan North, who has been writing the Fantastic Four series for the last 3-ish years. So I've had several people recommend that run to me, and I haven't sat down with it fully yet. I haven't read it since like the first 4 issues, but so I know there's a lot of people that are all in on that run. So this is probably another one to add to your collection. Okay, now it's time to talk about some serious comics, books that we both read, and books that we both really liked. I am, of course, talking about Absolute Martian Manhunter. I talked about it at the top of the stream with the preview pages in Batman Hush, and woo boy, this is written by Denise Camp and art by Javier Rodriguez. I should get the. There we go. And I don't know about you, Sam. I loved this comic.
I thought it was great.
I think it might be my favorite of the Absolute books, and they've all been pretty good except for Absolute Batman, which I can't stand. But that's just me. There's a lot of people that really love it. But this is really good. You said you liked it too?
I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
The art is amazing. The storytelling is really good. I got a lot of vibes of Shade the Changing Girl.
Yeah, you had mentioned that. I actually haven't read that series.
Yeah, similar story in which like alien on Earth, but it's kind of a mystery as to the nature of their existence on Earth. Kind of how it's still a mystery. Like, okay, we know this detective is somehow involved with this Martian entity, but there's so much that's left unexplained in the first issue.
I like the way this whole issue. It's a pretty simple first issue, like for the story. It's just the character experienced some kind of trauma, and now he's hearing voices. But the way it's told, it's so beautiful. Like these colors, they try to visually represent. It's so surreal that at first you almost don't even like. It kind of takes you a second to realize what's happening. But like the voices that he's hearing in his head are thoughts from other people because he's got telepathic abilities,
Right.
and it's visually represented by all these colors. Like he's seeing seeing colors and hearing colors in this weird way, and it's as is all this like imagery of like the Martian stuff kind of tied in there. There's this
Yeah.
freaky scene where his son uh, makes dolls of the family, and that's the one he did for the dad. And I don't even want to like spoil like the final page, but I really, 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 really liked this book. And then when we got to the final page, it put it over the top to one of my like favorite comics ever. And I'm not being hyperbolic because what the key to it is that it's something that's made to be enjoyed as a physical comic book. The way you read the final page, it's something that cannot be replicated digitally. You have to like physically have the book to create this effect that they do with the front and the back of the page. And like I said, I'm not going to say what it is or try to emulate or show it on stream, but it's really cool. And it's a little bit of like kind of a gimmicky trick in a way, but it works so well in this story, the way the story unfolds and builds up to that moment. I was just kind of in awe about it. Like it was really, really great.
You like those moments that are just comics for comics' sake, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like it's something that you couldn't recreate it in a movie like
No.
the specific effect. Like it's and I'm yeah, exactly. I just love something that's like pure 100% comic book, and I've not seen it so effective in a long time as it's done in this issue. So I'm, to use DC's phrase that they're branding on all their books, I am all in on Absolute Martian Manhunter. I really liked it. It was really, really good.
Yeah.
So I am excited for the next issues. I don't know. I kind of just talked a lot about it. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I think you covered it. The colors and then like the things that make it specific to the comic medium. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It was fantastic. All right, I have two other books here, both of them DC books. One that I read. Let's see. Oh yeah, we're doing just fine on time. We blasted through all those other books so easily. We got a little space here. So also coming out tomorrow, Peacemaker presents Vigilante Eagly special double feature. So this is a new 5-issue series. It is written. It's not written by James Gunn, but I think his job is like consultant. Yeah, story
Oh, wow.
consultant James Gunn. But one of the stories, the vigilante story, is written by Tim Seeley, who I just briefly mentioned. He's I think 3 books that we've showed on the stream today because he's got Peacemaker, Vigilante. He did Rogue, Savage Land, and the Money Shot series is him too. There's probably a 4th one in there somewhere that I just forgot about. Like I said, that dude is writing so much stuff right now. But yeah, Peacemaker, Vigilante, Eagly. Did you watch the Peacemaker show?
I watched like the first 3 episodes and then we got rid of HBO Max. So.
Yeah. Well, I don't blame anybody for getting rid of streaming because that's a whole different rant. So I did watch the show, and I didn't love the show.
Okay.
But especially the ending, I feel like it just like went nowhere with the ending, and I also feel like they kind of nerfed Peacemaker from. If you watched the Suicide Squad movie, the James Gunn one, I really liked Peacemaker in that because he was. It's the problem you have when you have a villain who's an antagonist and he has to be super capable because the hero has to struggle to overcome him. And then when you take that character and make him the protagonist, suddenly you have to like nerf him a little bit because if he's too strong, it's the Juggernaut problem. The Juggernaut is a villain and nobody can beat him. And then he's like, maybe I want to be a good guy, and suddenly he's like not the most invincible person on the planet. And like if the Juggernaut is on your X-Men team, he should just be steamrolling literally every villain. Like
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because that's literally a problem that's going on in the X-Men books now.
it is
where they
exactly.
have to do away with the Juggernaut and dispatch him one way or another.
Exactly. And so it just turns into a thing where it's like you have Juggernaut on your team, but every issue he has to creatively be taken care of, because
Yeah.
otherwise he would just curb stomp everybody and it gets tedious. And so that's kind of how I felt about the Peacemaker show, where I was like, they make him like dumber than he was in Suicide Squad, because in Suicide Squad he's got to be like this capable rival for Deadshot or Idris Elba's character.
Right.
And now that he's in his own show, he's like a big doofus, and he just like isn't that capable, and that bothered me. But that's not really what I'm here to talk about. One of the things I liked about the show was the character of Vigilante, who they pretty much just rewrote from the comics version. The comics version was kind of just like a cheap low rent ripoff of the Punisher, and so for the TV show, they made him a cheap, low rent ripoff of Deadpool, but it worked, just making him kind of crazy and super violent. And so that's what they just lean into here. And I liked the story. It's art is by Mitch Garrett Jared's, I think Garrett's, and it's really nice looking. Although I have to admit, sometimes I get a little distracted by the heavy photo referencing on all the facial expressions.
Yeah.
And it's like, I appreciate that they're going to such lengths to get these really like realistic facial expressions, but also, like I said, it starts to look like clip art kind of.
Mhm.
I don't know. But it's a fun story, and it's basically just like uh, Vigilante without the Peacemaker around just goes even more insane, and that's pretty much it. And so it's I don't know, if you liked Vigilante, which I did. I think you will appreciate this. There's two stories in it. So the one story is Vigilante, and then the second story is an Eagly story, and this one has Peacemaker in it a little bit more, but it's specifically like it's a little bit more fun. It leans into the silliness. But yeah, it's just it's like Eagly focused, which is, again, I think Vigilante and Eagly were kind of the two better, like the two most charming parts of the show for
Mhm.
sure. And so yeah, you know what, it's a Black Label book. They usually got very like strong creative quality on that, and it's written by Tim Seeley. The Vigilante story is, and I'm a big fan of his, so yeah, I'll definitely probably be checking this out for the next 4 issues. All right, we got one more book to talk about. I can't believe, I just want to stress, I cannot believe that we are going to actually talk about this. We are going to talk about the Harley Quinn Fartacular Silent but Deadly. Just look at this. Just in time for April Fools. You think Marvel was like dogging on them about that? Just in time for April Fools.
They're in on it.
Yeah, they gotta be.
They
So
know.
so yes, this is the famous Harley Quinn fart comic. This comic reeks. In this issue, farts, artificial rub and smell farts. Now, look, I just want to be straight up and down with you. I did not go out of my way to smell any panels in this comic.
What?
I don't even know if that's just like a gimmick they put on the cover, or if it's actually supposed to smell like farts. But I will say this. I was reading through it, and there were several moments where I got a whiff, and I'm just like, is that from the comic, or is that like, we're in a comic book store? No judgment, but there's a lot of people around,
Yeah.
and there were several moments where I was just like side eyeing some of my coworkers, uh, just being like, "What's that? Is that the comic, or just like an odd smell in the room?" I don't know, and I'm definitely not investigating further. But so this book, it's I think it's by, I didn't even follow all of the credits. It says Marie Javins presents, and I'm not familiar with any of the names in this book, but I will also say this up front. I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. So first of all, I mean, it's for a book about farts,
Yeah.
but you know what? The art is really good. I like, it's really charming. Like, I was kind of just complaining about the Vigilante, Mitch Gerard I keep wanting to say like
Gerard's.
Gerard's, but it's not it. It's Garrett, and like where they're going for that like photorealistic look. And I like this cartooning style, and the whole book is full of fart jokes. Like you've got Harley Quinn's trying to fart right here in this panel, and it's really funny looking, like funny facial expressions. And ultimately, it's kind of just like a romantic story about whether or not a cut because it's a Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn, and it's just about whether or not you're comfortable farting in front of your significant other. And you know what? That's a tried and true story idea. A lot of people have done that, and I think that's also the mark of true romance is when you're comfortable enough to just let it fly in front of your significant other. And that's really what this whole comic story is about. And there's a lot of funny. They kind of set a precedent of how farts are depicted throughout history in art. Yeah, the art of fart. And there's some stuff about James Joyce letters. The plot kind of revolves around her trying to steal the James Joyce letters so that she can give them to Poison Ivy to prove that farting can be romantic. And then there's a curse involved that if you steal the letters, you have uncontrollable fart powers, like this Dutch woman who they make a Dutch oven joke because she farts fireballs. I can't believe we're flipping through this comic on the stream right now. But I oh did
Batman farts
no, but did you just? I mean, I did you just get a whiff of something? I swear, I think I did.
from the book.
Yeah, you're not getting anything.
No
Just like
Dutch
waft
oven
it
smell.
and waft it in your direction. Is that just me?
Oh,
Did just smell it? I'm not gonna smell it on camera. Did you? Did you?
just a little bit.
You
I'll
got it?
smell it.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, there you have it, confirmed for farts. And it's funny because it's like I didn't notice anything until like flung the page and it like wafted it out. Does it smell like pickles? No, it's a weird smell. I guess it smells like a fart.
It does smell like a fart.
So you know what? It's got that going for it.
Points for accuracy.
But yeah, Batman's in it, and it's actually like a really long story. Like it goes in a lot of directions. Lots of Harley Quinn gets cursed with farts. There are a ton of fart jokes. One of my favorite parts in it is that Plastic Man shows up, and I don't even have it on camera here. There we go. Plastic Man shows up, and she's trying to control her farts, so she uses him as a costume to uh, prevent the release of the farts. So she's every time she farts, Plastic Man keeps it enclosed so that people won't smell or hear her, and it is just ridiculous. I like we're getting near the end of the book, and I'm not going to spoil it, but I can't believe we're talking about this book on the stream and I can't believe I kind of liked it. Like it was funny. It's really well done and it's got a lot of dumb fart humor, but
Yeah.
it's again, it's the execution and it's really well written for being a bunch of fart jokes, but it looks great too. I think like this would not work for me if they tried to have more like realistic art style. Like it just like the comedy wouldn't land. Like the it's it's a good book. I might even make it my pick of the week just because the sheer audacity to put out a fart comic for April Fools. And also, I think I've been on record as saying I'm not the biggest fan of Harley Quinn. She's like Deadpool. I think she's really overdone, and I'm just like kind of sick of her. But you know what? It's kind of charming in this issue. Like it worked. So good on them. Good on DC and everybody involved in this comic. You pulled it off. I didn't think you could do it. Oh, my favorite joke is blaming it on the cat. I mean, I do that, yes,
You
but
do
also
that.
our cats do stink. Like
Oh.
they're a bunch of smelly cats. So yeah, all right. Do you want to smell the book one last time?
Oh, I think I'm good.
Okay. Well, that's it for this week. We did it. We got through everything. All right. Well, we're heading out. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Definitely buy the Harley Quinn fart comic, and all the other comics we talked about. Rub it on your wrists like a Cosmo. But yeah, so like our friend Dan says, there's comics out there for everybody. It's not all just superhero stuff. So come on down, Fantasy Books and Games, buy some comics. Get them from somewhere if you have to, but you should definitely get them from us. You can talk to us about comics, like me and Sam. We love talking about comics.
Yes.
All right, everybody. That's it for tonight. We'll see you all next time. Bye.